Now you talk about, and this sort of leads to my next question, that there's a thread of self-sabotage that runs through the history of the band, as if you guys were snatching defeat from the jaws of victory at times. Is that fair to
Constantly,
say?
yeah, constantly. Oh, but at every turn, yeah. I mean, a fundamental lack of confidence in positivity. It was like I always saw it as a need for control. And when things went really well, and there's a few elements here. The success of the band was always because of the efforts of many, and the brothers, and more specifically Chris, more loudly, but both of them had a really hard time sharing credit. They wanted all the credit all the time, and the truth is, beyond the songs, they played an equal part in bringing those songs to fruition, and then executing the albums. Like I said, we were surrounded with great and talented people who were putting their all into the band. And it was a layup. I mean, all we had to do was continue to make great music, and the band would have had the kind of career that a handful of bands ever have in the history of rock music. I really believe we had the ability. We were the kind of band, and we were positioned after two albums to be a 40, 50-year band. At the time, people used to say, you're going to be around 20 or 30 years. And now 30 years later, you realize, well, that can extend as long as you want to keep doing it. So we were positioned to be one of those bands. And the music we made in the 90s, there's just as much music that was never released as was released. And, the people who have all that, you can make a strong case that we had our records that no one heard were just as good as the ones they did hear. There was no shortage of talent and ambition, but all the internal conflicts just kept it from ever getting close to from realizing its potential.
And one good example, I guess, of the self-sabotage that we're talking about was the way the collaboration between Jimmy Page and the Black Crowes unraveled. I didn't know this, but basically it ends with you ready to drive to Connecticut and strangle Rich Robinson yourself.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah. Well, as I detail in the book, there was a conversation that Rich had with Jimmy while we were on tour with him in the summer of 2000. That was basically the final straw. Jimmy was dealing with an awful lot of issues, including a pretty significant health issue that were making the tour very difficult for him. He was willing to forgo all that, and he was definitely putting himself out there for us every night with the best intentions. And he had a conversation with Rich that made him recognize, well, why am I doing anything for these guys? They don't even appreciate me being here. Rich just made a decision and spoke on behalf of the band in a way that was incredibly damaging and just disrespectful, a lot of things. And the thing is, so the tour was canceled. We never knew that element of it for almost 2 years. And it was just it's an incredible thing to find out later after the fact, but it was as I said, it's in great detail in the book, which I would encourage people to go check out because I can't do the story justice here in a quick interview.
No, it's a great story, and I won't spoil it by trying to get you to lay it out here. But and it kind of leads to another thing here in that you tried to quit the band on multiple occasions, and then what made it permanent for you? Was it Chris trying to get all the money 5 years ago, or what was it?
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, I thought for sure. When the tour ended in 2010 and we said we were taking a few years off, I didn't quit, but I also would have bet. And in fact, I told anyone that asked, it's definitely over. There's no way this is coming back together. When we did tour in 2013, the entire point of that tour, the goal, the reason for that tour even happening was to go out and basically be a setup, a primer for 2015, which would be a proper farewell tour, to say thank you and goodbye to our fans and to each other, really, after that long. And I was very excited about that. I went back to the band in 2005 when it reunited solely because I wanted it to have a better ending. I was just trying to rewrite the last chapter for a long time there. And but after the tour in 2013, we say we have a plan, and it's to go out in 2015, and then that's in early 2014 is when Chris demanded we shake up the business arrangement, and he demanded all the money. And it's not even like I quit. That just ended the band. Rich and I said no, and that was the end of it. I never formally quit the band, but I didn't have to. It was the idea that to me, it was, I wanted the band to be over. I thought we owed it to our fans and even to ourselves, especially, to do it in a much better way than that. There's no more embarrassing, stupid way for a band to end than the way the Black Crowes ended. So, but that said, it really did end it. There's not a chance. I couldn't possibly imagine working again on any level with somebody who would make those demands. There's no mea culpa from that one that says, let's give this another chance. You know what I mean? There's the concept of believing in someone else on any level, once they've done that, is dead in the water.
So even the book, take that out of the equation, you don't see yourself playing with these two ever again?
Oh, gosh, no, not a chance. I mean, the book, like I said, I wouldn't have, the Black Crowes are 7 years in the rearview mirror for me. That last tour was in 2013. And I don't say this to be, I'm not looking for a catchy line or anything. It's just a fact. The last 7 years of my life have been the best 7 years of my life. Or I guess 6 completed years. I'm now in the 7th year. And that's for a lot of reasons, but chiefly among them is I don't have, that energy, those people having any sway over my life is removed. And I'm in a much happier place than I've ever been. And so the idea of going back and reintroducing those elements into my life is completely, it's not even a possibility.
Now, ultimately, what do you want folks to take away from Hard to Handle? What is the legacy of the Black Crowes, at least as you see it?
I think it's a great, the Black Crowes were a great band. And as you've said, it's a great band that couldn't get out of its own way. We got into a band and we wanted to be great. We wanted to make great music and we wanted to leave behind great music, and we did that. And the book is ultimately, the book is a story about people. The context is that of a rock and roll band, but it's about friendship and loyalty and betrayal and addiction and codependency and greed and sacrifice. It's all of those elements that really, on a certain level, I think anybody that's ever dealt with family, if there's addiction in your family or at your job, and if there's, sudden influx of money or fame or anything like that, the hierarchy of any small group of people working together, people can relate to a lot of these elements. You might not be able to relate to making a record as good as Southern Harmony, but anybody can relate to a lot of the things that went on while we made it and how we treated each other and everybody's shortcomings being on full display, myself included. And within that, though, tremendous strengths. And if you had asked me in 1987, do you want to be in a great band that's a mess, or do you want to be in an okay band where everybody's really cool to each other, I would have said, give me the great band every time. That was the goal, and that's what we got. We got what we asked for, and we got a lot more than we asked for, good and bad.
That's a great place to leave it. The name of the book, Hard to Handle, The Life and Death of the Black Crowes, a memoir. My thanks to the author and former drummer, Steve Gorman. Steve, thank you.
Hey, thank you very much, man.